Hello friend, welcome to the live studies channel. Today I am going to discuss SVN interview question for experience portion and fresher both. So let's start. My first question is, what is SVN? Okay, basically SVN is a centralized version of control system. Okay, SVN is open source tool for control, this version of controlling, right? To control like a local file, localized, central, distributed. So SVN is used to manage the current and previous version of files like source code, documentation, and files. Okay, it's act that the time machine for developers and allow them to go back and browse the history of the project. Means the super and the sub version open source, right, under the Apache license. Okay, means this license under the Apache license, and it is collaborate. Okay, there are some features of SVN, like it is support at atomic commit. Okay, keep the full revision history, support internationalized program, messages, provide file looking for the files and cannot be merged. It provides versioning of symbolic link, support for path-based authorization. It has language binding for some programming language like C#, PHP, Python, Java. So many languages for supporting. Okay, standard LON server options like SVN server also. There are some components. Okay, just there are some components like SVN server. This is a component. Okay, this is the repository. Repository. Okay, means repository send to the SVN server. SVN server connect to the SVN client. There are multiple clients. Okay, so work like locally. Okay, copy of. So there are two types of the components. Okay, first one is a SVN server. Okay, and second one is a client, means SVN client. Right? These components can be considered as this component is considered the web servers and web browser also. The client act as the browser that access the data from the server. The client to the data server. Okay, data servers. So the server tools. This one, the server tools that install in the user machine. It can store, hold the entire project CRS in the centralized remote device. Okay. The server operates on the central master copy of your project in a database. Means the server can copy is a master project in a server, and the client. SVN client is tool that we install on the user machine that communicate with the SVN server. It is provide the interface that help and allow us to interact with the server SVN. SVN client is free and open source. Everyone can install, but the client, the SVN client, with some merge to the TOS SVN. Okay, means communicate with the SVN server, provide remote and mutual access, provide the interface, and another one is a virtual SVN client. Both are okay. Move to the another question. Another question is, what is the version control system, VCS, and type of VCS? So a version control, okay. A version control system is a software that tracks changes to a file or set of file over time, so that you can recall a specific version later. It also allows us to work together with our other programs. The VCS is a collection of software tools. What? Collection of software tools that help to team manage changes in source code. Means the tools help a team to manage multiple of changes in a source code. Means changes means suppose is a class interface. Okay, it's write the logics, and it use a specific kind of data to keep track every modification to the code. Means keep track every modification is a code. Suppose I'm a developer. Okay, suppose I am developer, and the same developer is a multiple of developers in a single project. Okay, suppose I am writing a simple add logic. Okay, write the one method. So SVN check and remark my new file, means new source code. Okay, to suppose my another colleague are type the same code, so you can show in a duplicate code. Okay, this one. Yeah, it's a duplicacy, and you can easily, developer can compare easily version of code with our older or newer version. Do not mistake. There are some advantages of VCS. Means VCS is very useful and benefit software development. Developing software without using version control is unsafe. It provides backup for uncertainty. VCS control system offer a speedily interface to develop. It also allow software team to preserve precious, okay, efficiency elevate according to the team scale to include the more developers, multiple developers. But some key have version control system follow, means complete changes history of file, simultaneously working, branching and merging code, trackability. Okay, another one is the type of VCS. There are three type of VCS. Means localized VCS, centralized VCS, and distributed VCS. So in this market, is a current market, is just use the distributed system. Just I will discuss, and the next question, distributed VCS, distributed version of control. Okay, so just in the first is a localized VCS. Okay, Means version database can store is a multiple version. So version 1, version 2, version 3. Just check the files. Means the localized version control method is a common approach. Means 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 5, 6, 7. Because of its simplicity, but it is approach lead to higher chance of error. Suppose you can change here. So another you could draw match the same. You may have forget which directory you are in and accidentally write to the wrong file or copy over the file you don't not do. To deal with the issue, programmers developed local VCS that had a simple database. Such database keep all the changes to file under revision control. A local version control system keep copies of the files. So, is a major drawback of local VCS that is have the single point of failure. Means version of control sending file. Okay. This one means there are multiple V4 database. Okay, this file is connecting to us. So there are multiple errors have chance between. Another is the centralized. Centralized version VCS means the multiple version are stored in the centralized, but version are not connect to between. Okay, connect. Direct check to the computer and simplify send to file as a central hub. Means the developer need to collaborate with other developer on other system. Needed. The localized version control system failed in this case, but to deal with this problem, centralized version control system we develop. Means developer needed to collaborate with other developer on the other system. The system has a single server that contains the version files and some client to check out file from a central place. The centralized version control system have many benefits, especially over the local VCS. Means everyone on the file has informed about the work that over doing on the project. Administrator have control over the developers. It is easy to deal with the centralized version control system that means then a localized version control system. Means a local version control system facilitates a server software component that restore and manage the different version of files. But it is also has some drawback in the local files control system that also with a single point failure. Then we can move to the another question, means distributed version control system. Okay, means distributed for VCS means centralized VCS use a central server to store all database. VCS center to store all server. Okay, all the database and team collaboration, but due to single point failure, which means that failure of central server, developers do not prefer it. The next distributed control system is developed. In the distributed control system such as Git, Mercurial, Bazaar, Dashes, but this version means the GitHub is very popular in this time, right? Mercurial, Bazaar is not is a famous at this time, but GitHub is a very famous because of its so many advantages compared to SVN. Both are same working, but GitHub is best. This is my opinion. The user has a local copy of a repository, so the clients do not just check out the latest snapshot of the file every day. Can fully mirror the repository. The local repository contains all the files and metadata present in the main repository. Distributed version of control system allow automatic management, branching, and merging. It speeds up most operations except pushing, pulling. Diff enhance the ability to working offline, does not rely on a single location for backup. If any server stop another system where collaborating view it is, then any of the client repository could be restored by the server. Every checkout is full backup of all the data. So it's a very difference between Git and GitHub. Means GitHub, if you have your system is offline, so you can store in a GitHub is a locally. Means you can push, you can store in the locally, but in a SVN you cannot store is locally. So the systems do not necessarily depend on the central server to store all the version of control. Right? It's a file. This one. Another question is, what is the methodology to apply a patch in SVN? In the order to apply a patch in SVN, one is a file is required to create patch by making the necessary changes and generating the different files. Subsequently, this different file can be utilized to incorporate the new code because using apply patch. Explain the team trunk, tag, and branch in context of SVN. A trunk is the main stream of development that is related to SVN right from the beginning of the project till the end. Branch is copy of the file code that is derived from a specific location. That is a specific location with the trunk that can be used in order to apply major changes to code whole, preventing the original integrity of the code. A tag is a point in time on the trunk branch that once which to reference means the process of baselining code, source code after it has been majorly related is known as a tag. Another question is, what is command to add a file? It's just simple. SVN add file name, SVN add the directory name. What is the difference between commit and update? So it's a very it's not a very most important question, but it's a look like is a so update is used to update the local workspace with the changes made by the team to repository, while the commit in the process to implement changes from the local to local to the repository. In a simple word, update a file into the repository. You can update to upload new file. Another question is, mention what does the result code G and R in SVN indicates. Means the result code G in the SVN means G code means changes on the repo were automatically merged into the working copy. R means code indicate that item has been replaced in your working copy. This means the file was programmed or scheduled for deleting and a new file will be same name was scheduled for addition in its place. Another question, explain the the use of revert in SVN. Revert is simply a command that used to revert local changes in the source code. Source code revert function are generally two types: is local revert and repo revert. Means local revert means delete all the recent files that have been made to file after the start of the update and before the commit function. Repo revert means all the changes made to be proceeding repo. Another question is, how does the SVN checkout command work? It will be simply create a folder on the local system for the first time and copy all the files in the location and to help the user independent on the source code. Another question is, what is the command to create a new directory under the VC? Just simply just create SVN, just include the SVN mkdir, means full form is the make directory. Okay, make directory commands. Okay, and then you can also use to SVN mkdir http URL, means base URL. Okay, and directory name. Suppose you can directory name create is a project name. Okay, yeah, module name if you want. Another question is, how you can import your existing directory into the new repository. Means the command will be used to import existing directory into the new directory. You have to written this, means import home. Another, if you want, is a computer name, right? Home my surface is, you cannot like my local directory. Okay, and programming files, then home surface repo, programming repo, initialize report, means initialize is a existing report. Another question is, which functions are used in order to move some of subject of code from one SVN repository to another? Means with the attempt to move a subset of the code from the SVN repository to another. The functions can be employed. Means SVN admin drum, SVN drum filter include, SVN admin load, and SVN remove files. Another question is, how to check content of a repository. Means SVN, you can see the tree structure of all the directory folders files present under any given repository. There are subversion commands that help in this. The command path from this SVN is, there are some list, means the file. Okay, X surface, yeah, you can start as like a Praveen project, means tracing repo, programming repo. Means one of the command and execute will be chance to see the exact structure in repository. Another question is, what is the command to view the difference between the local version and repository version? There are two types. Just use the SVN different file name if you want. Okay, and then another is directory name. Differentiate between Git and SVN repository. Very most important question. Okay, important question. Means Git does not support the commit function across all the branches and tags, but file on another hand create a folder at any location within the repository in allowed by SVN. But Git is unchangeable, while SVN permits a user to treat a tag and create multiple revisions under the root tag. SVN prefers over the Git for handling large files or frequently changes the local binary tree. Another question is, list out what all things should be stored in SVN repository. Means in SVN repository you can store source code, build script, test data used by QA, quality, DB schema, project setting when the whole team is using the same ID, project documentation, internal and external, minutes of meeting, significant email and inform from the web, expensively generated artifact and other documentation related to the project. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe this video and don't forget the bell icon. Okay.